Today, we're going to talk about something that can transform your life completely. Effective prayer. Not the kind of prayer spoken out of obligation, nor the kind filled with anxiety or fear, but true prayer, the kind that rises from a mind and heart aligned with the divine source. You'll hear real stories, learn spiritual principles, and discover how prayer, when done with faith and understanding, can move the unseen and shift what is seen. Let's begin with a powerful truth. Everything starts in the mind. A man once lost $15,000 in a scam. He asked me, how can I get it back? Most people would accept the loss as final, but not him. Instead of admitting the loss, he affirmed, I am mentally and spiritually identified with that money. It comes back to me in divine order. And what happened? Soon after, a relative of his passed away and left him $20,000 in inheritance. The money didn't return the same way. It came back multiplied because he planted the right seed in his subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't argue. It amplifies whatever you deposit into it. So never say, I lost. Instead, declare, everything that belongs to me returns, multiplied in divine timing. Let me share another true story. A spiritually gifted woman had a vivid dream. She saw a plane on fire with 2 men inside. She even knew the time and location. The next day, she went to that exact area with a friend, and they prayed scientifically, not begging or pleading, but affirming. They prayed, this plane is God's perfect idea. It moves from point to point with joy, peace, and safety. It is surrounded by the sacred circle of God's eternal love. 15 minutes later, the plane appeared above them, just like in her dream. And yes, it was on fire. But when it landed, both men walked out completely unharmed. Not even a single hair was singed. She didn't prevent the fire, but she protected their lives through the power of focused, faith-filled prayer. Prayer transcends distance. There's no such thing as far away in divine mind. A soldier, told he needed a foot amputation, called his mother. She was a deeply spiritual woman. She said, wait until morning. I will pray. That night, she prayed. The healing presence of God flows through my son now. The surgeons are God's men, guided by divine wisdom. His body is God's temple, and the life of God is flowing through him, renewing and restoring him. The same power that formed him in the womb now makes him whole. By morning, the doctors found no sign of gangrene. No amputation was needed. Why? Because there is no distance in spirit. Divine mind is timeless, formless, and limitless. Now listen carefully. Real prayer doesn't require effort. You don't need to strain or plead. Prayer is effortless effort, a still inner knowing. You don't add power to what's already omnipotent. Prayer is like painting on the wings of a butterfly, gentle, but transformative. True faith rests. It knows the sun will rise, the stars will shine, and the prayer has already been answered. There's no begging in real faith, only certainty. Sometimes, divine guidance comes as a voice, not from outside, but from deep within. A soldier in Vietnam once heard his sister's voice shouting, "Stop! Stop now!" He ordered his men to halt. They checked the area and found a landmine. If they had walked just a few more steps, the entire platoon would have been killed. Another soldier heard his mother's voice telling him to check the vehicle. He obeyed. A wheel was dangerously loose. Had they gone just a few more feet, they would have driven off a cliff. These voices weren't hallucinations. They were the subconscious mind transmitting divine warnings in the form of familiar voices, voices we trust, because Spirit speaks in ways we're willing to hear. And here's something even more astonishing. Prayer works even for atheists. Many people with no religious belief have gone to sacred places like Lourdes and experienced miraculous healings. Why? Because they were receptive. They were seeking healing. And that desire, that openness, connected them to something greater than themselves. They were surrounded by others praying with deep conviction, and the energy of collective faith permeated their subconscious mind, healing them from within. They may not have believed in God, but God believed in them, because God is no respecter of persons. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. Rain falls on the good and the bad. Healing is possible for anyone, anywhere, even in the blink of an eye. Now listen to this. A mother in Los Angeles had a terrifying dream. She saw her daughter, thousands of miles away, being attacked. She woke up shaken, but didn't panic. Instead, she opened her Bible and began to pray. My daughter abides in the secret place of the Most High. She is under the shadow of the Almighty. She is surrounded by the armor of God. She is safe, protected, watched over by divine presence. After 15 minutes of prayer, she felt peace and fell into a deep sleep. She couldn't reach her daughter. It was a holiday. The next night, the daughter called. She said, "Mom, I had a dream. You appeared, shouting at me not to go out with a certain man." Shaken, the daughter stayed home. Another girl went out with that man instead and was raped and killed. That's the prayer of faith. That's a mother who knows how to pray. You see, when you pray, you don't focus on the problem. You don't pray against symptoms. You pray from a higher place, affirming what's true in God is true for that person. You say, the peace, the love, the healing presence of God is flowing through this life now. You don't pray for protection from bullets or disease. You affirm that the person is filled with light, surrounded by love, immersed in divine harmony. Because the highest form of prayer doesn't address the problem. It magnifies the presence of God until the problem dissolves into divine perfection. And finally, know this, the voice of God is always peaceful. It doesn't shout. It doesn't confuse. The Bible says, "You shall hear a voice behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" That voice, the whisper God, is always still, always clear, always loving. When you pray like this, from faith, not fear, from stillness, not struggle, from truth, not doubt, your prayer never fails. It may not come in the form you expected, but the answer always comes. Clapperboard closing, call to action. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Let it be a light in someone's darkness. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Spirit Light, because here we believe in the healing power of truth and the quiet strength of prayer. Subscribe for more light.